What The Crown has always done so cleverly, I think, is not try to imitate the characters, but to sort of evoke them.
The Crown Season 5 is here, and just like you expected, this season is full of attention to detail and underlying themes. So stick around for all of the details that went into creating The Crown Season 5. Number 1. The slowest makeover ever? That's one way you might describe what Diana went through in Season 5 of The Crown. To help mark the emotional journey of Diana's character, costume designers came up with some rules for how to dress her. In the first few episodes, she wears long skirts and baggy sweaters, softer shapes that suggest a formlessness or a sense of hiding from the world. In later episodes, her skirts get shorter and her silhouette becomes simpler and more defined to show a stripped-back Diana regaining control of her life.
It's kind of an evolution story in the sense of watching somebody sort of find their center again.
Elizabeth Debicki wasn't the only one undergoing unusual makeovers this season. Johnny Lee Miller had more than a few special makeup treatments thanks to some frequent black eyes and bruising, but more on that later. Number 2. Turn the music up. Johnny Lee Miller played John Major, but he also played the royal DJ on set for Season 5 of The Crown. Johnny would help pass the time during things like lengthy wig fitting sessions by DJing for the crew. He also kept the makeup artists busy. As an avid martial artist, Johnny would often come to set with a black eye. He once even had his finger tattooed between shooting days. Isn't there a rule about that somewhere?
I'm quite relaxed, but yeah, it's just bizarre.
Johnny seems to be a far cry from the quiet and gentle steeliness of John Major. Number 3. Hold your horses, or let 'em ride. The Crown Season 5 actor Jonathan Pryce was taught to handle horses by some of Prince Philip's real-life racing friends for the carriage racing scenes in this season. Although Jonathan learned to handle reins with real horses, in the scene from the show, the carriage is actually pulled by a camera truck. Better safe than sorry. Number 4. Things got a little too real this season. The Crown has made use of an elaborate collection of props and set pieces. Some were created for the show, and some were actually antiques. Production for The Crown had a major setback when 150,000 pounds worth of props were stolen from production trucks. Set decorator Alison Harvey recalled, "One of the worst things that happened this season was 3 of the prop trucks with our antiques got broken into overnight. All the antiques were stolen." Harvey explained, "It was obviously a nightmare because we had to try to replace them quickly. When the crime was reported, the police said they didn't have time to investigate the theft because they had found a body in the river nearby. The body turned out to be a prosthetic belonging to the production team of The Crown and was one of the items stolen from the back of the trucks."
We're trying to get it back, actually.
Really?
The police have still got it, yeah.
Number 5. Is that a smirk or a quirk? All of the actors on Season 5 had to undergo some fairly intense transformations to play these iconic characters convincingly. And while sometimes these transformations can be complicated, other times there are simple, short tricks.
I suppose it starts with the jaw, and it's so sort of, because the jaw's so tight.
Dominic West says that one of the secrets to speaking like Charles was to talk slightly from the side of his mouth. Dominic describes the motion as a man stopping words from slipping out of fear for saying the wrong thing, keeping it simple. Number 6. You thought you spotted a few grays, didn't you? To help mark the passage of time over the years that The Crown covers, the hair and makeup department would do things like use half a dozen wigs on a single actor. Imelda Staunton wears 6 different wigs throughout the series. She starts with the same wig for the 6 episodes, gains a few white pieces for the next 3 episodes, and has a whiter, lighter wig for episode 10, showing the passing of 5 years and the toll that time has taken on the Queen. Number 7. Another season, another decade. As the show moves into the 90s, the directors try to mimic the bright and colorful trends of the era. Camera movements are more free, and the color palette in the opening episodes is much lighter than previous seasons. If you watch, or rewatch, carefully, you'll notice that this colorful palette does fade over the season to match the darker tone of the drama. Number 8. Everything the light touches. And some of those things in the dark, too. Set decorator Alison Harvey was in charge of creating a believable world for the Crown actors to live in, and that proved to be a challenge all of its own.
Hopefully by the end of it, it looks like someone lives there.
Allison describes the approach to creating a world that is both believable for the viewers and inhabitable for the actors. We start with the flooring, the lighting, the big lumps of furniture. Ultimately, you end up with a paper knife. It's like moving house every day. Allison's expertise was used not only to create a believable world for viewers like you to enjoy, but for the actors to believe they were really a part of it. We can only imagine the secrets buried in each set and prop piece, and we can probably all agree with Dominic West when he says,
So much goes unseen and unthanked.
Number 9. Have you got those royal moves? You might say the cast of Season 5 certainly do. Thanks to their royal choreographer, the cast worked with movement coach Polly Bennett to better capture the performance of their characters with body language. Polly explains things like how Diana greets a crowd from the back to the front, sometimes crouching to greet kids up close.
For Elizabeth, whenever she had to do those big crowd scenes, it wasn't an overwhelming experience.
Polly also suggested to Imelda Staunton that she should think of pressing her big toes into the floor and square off her hips in her stance in order to portray the Queen's quiet confidence in entering a room.
So just those little things are sort of helpful fuel for an actor on a film set.
Number 10. Britannia rule the waves. If you watch carefully, you might notice that Season 5 uses the royal yacht, called the Britannia, as a metaphor for the royal family in the early 90s. In the earlier seasons, the Britannia was the Queen's first home, a place she had total control over when she first sat upon the throne. In the later seasons, the yacht is in disrepair, just as the royal family's own standing becomes tarnished in the show. Just as people question the need for the yacht, the show depicts TV shows of the time, questioning the role of the royal family. Number 11. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. In Season 5, Prince William is played by Senan West, who is Dominic West's real-life son.
And they said, we can't find a blue-eyed blonde boy who's 13 who's starting boarding school. I said, I think I've got just the guy.
You might say the two didn't have to do much acting for their relationship as father and son. What's even cooler is that playing Prince William on The Crown is Senan's first acting role. Proud father Dominic said it was amazing suddenly seeing his son on camera. Number 12. James, is that you? You might have thought there was something about Mr. Townsend in Season 5. That's because former 007 Timothy Dalton joined the cast as Peter Townsend to tell the story of his reunion with Margaret after years apart. Timothy was suggested to the casting team by Leslie Manville, who plays Margaret. Leslie enjoyed the Bond connection, saying, "It's very Margaret, isn't it? To be dancing with James Bond. She'd have loved it." Number 13. Wait, for real? Dominic West had a secret advantage while learning to play Charles. He has actually met the real-life counterpart of his character several times. West said, "I've been in line to shake his hand a few times, and it's fascinating. It's very useful to meet the character you're playing, obviously." Another season of The Crown, and yet another compelling depiction of these historic characters. And with that, another set of curious stories around how the details of Season 5 were brought to life. This is only a short list of the tales from behind the scenes, so what did we miss? What do you think? Let us know in the comments below.